You know, every single word you type, every command in a game, all those late night messages, it all starts with just a simple tap on a key. The keyboard, it's literally the bridge between our thoughts and the digital world. But have you ever actually stopped to wonder what's going on under your fingertips? I promise you, it's not magic, but it's so clever it might as well be.
So that's the big question, right? How does a physical push on a piece of plastic turn into an instant digital signal? How does it know you pressed A and not S? Well, the answer is just this incredible feat of engineering, and that is exactly what we're going to break down right now.
All right, so the journey from your finger to the screen, it all starts with one fundamental secret. At its very core, a keyboard is really just a collection of, over 100 tiny electrical switches, and they're all just lying there waiting for one command, your press. And that's the core principle right there. Each key is a switch, and its only job is to close a gap. When you press it, two conductive points meet, and that allows a little electrical current to finally flow through. That tiny spark of current is the signal. That's the whole magic trick. So this simple four-step process is really the foundation for everything that comes next. You press the key, the 2 points make contact, the circuit is complete, and boom, a signal is born. It's just that simple action repeated over and over again that makes all of our digital lives possible. Okay, so while all keyboards rely on closing that circuit, how they do it, well, that usually falls into one of two major camps. So let's meet the two titans of keyboard tech, membrane and mechanical. First up, we've got the membrane keyboard. If you're using a laptop or just a standard office keyboard, chances are you are typing on one of these right now. I mean, they are everywhere. And that's because they're simple and cheap to make. The real secret to how they work is in these little rubber domes hiding under each key. So here's how it works. You press a key, and that little rubber dome collapses. This pushes a conductive pad on its underside down onto a circuit sheet, which connects two electrical traces and, yep, you guessed it, completes the circuit. It's simple, it's effective, and it's what gives these keyboards their signature quiet, kind of mushy feel. And on the other side of the ring, we have mechanical keyboards. Now, these are the heavyweights. They're favored by gamers, programmers, and serious typists for their precision and that tactile feedback. Oh, and their durability? Instead of being rated for about 5 million presses, these are often rated for 50 to 100 million. The key difference is that every single key has its own dedicated, high-quality switch. So instead of a rubber dome, a mechanical switch uses this plastic stem that moves inside a little housing, with a spring providing that satisfying resistance and bounce back. As you press down, the design of the stem physically forces two small metal contacts to touch each other, and just like that, the circuit is complete. So this really highlights the huge difference in feel, right? Membrane keyboards are quiet and soft because of that collapsing rubber dome. Mechanicals, on the other hand, are known for being tactile, often with that satisfying click, giving you undeniable feedback that, yep, your key was registered. They're more expensive, for sure, but for many people, that precision and that 10x durability is worth every single penny. Okay, so a circuit closes when you press a key. Simple enough. But that raises a massive question. With over 100 keys on the board, how on earth does your computer know you pressed G and not H? Well, the solution is brilliantly efficient. I mean, the obvious solution would be to just have one dedicated wire for every single key. But that's also the worst solution. Can you imagine the chaos? It would be an absolute nightmare of complexity. So engineers, they needed a much, much more elegant approach. And that elegant approach is called the key matrix. Instead of a dedicated wire for each key, the circuitry is laid out in this grid of intersecting rows and columns. Every single key sits at a unique intersection, giving it a specific coordinate, kind of like an address on a city map. And here's the truly genius part. There's a tiny controller chip inside the keyboard that is constantly scanning this grid at an incredible speed. It sends a little electrical pulse down row 1 and checks all the columns for a signal. Nothing? Okay, pulse down row 2, check all the columns. It does this thousands of times every second. So when you press a key, you connect a row and a column. The controller might see a signal return on column 5 while it was pulsing row 3, and instantly it knows exactly which key you pressed. So the final step is just translation. That row and column coordinate, the key's unique address on the grid, is instantly converted by the controller into a universal key code. And it's this code that zips through the USB cable to your computer, telling it to display a W or activate the shift function. So when you put it all together, what feels like such a simple, mundane action is actually the silent, intricate ballet of engineering happening thousands of times a second, right there beneath your fingertips. It's pretty amazing. So let's trace that journey one last time, super quick. Your finger moves, a switch closes a circuit, the key matrix pinpoints the exact location, a code is generated and sent off, and the letter just appears on your screen. All of this happens in the blink of an eye every single time you type. So the next time you sit down to type something out, just take a second to appreciate that tiny little universe of activity happening under the keys. It's really an everyday miracle of precise engineering, seamlessly translating what you want to do into a language the whole digital world can understand. So now I have to ask you, what's your weapon of choice? Are you a quiet and stealthy Team Membrane user? Or do you need that satisfying click-clack from Team Mechanical? Let me know your preference and why down in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in.